Welcome to Giant Cocktails, a podcast where two lifelong fans talk about the San Francisco Giants while drinking homemade cocktails. Now, here are your hosts, Ben and Matthew Henry.
Welcome to another episode of Giant Cocktails. I am your host, Ben Henry, alongside my brother. He's the butter upon bacon, Matthew Henry.
I've never once in my life put butter upon bacon, but it sounds like why not, right? Everything's better with bacon and everything's better with butter.
Yeah, I mean, and they're both like super flavorful and kind of like, you know.
Yeah, it'll kill you if you have too much of it. Yeah.
Right. Well, you don't get enough of it. You don't get very much of it because times are lean, Matthew. Like, you know, it's not like you can go to a store and just buy butter and bacon whenever you want.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because it's the Depression and we're like,
no, it's pre-Depression, man. This is 19th century stuff.
Oh,
that is a 19th century compliment. Although I might be wrong on that. I don't know. I did some last second research and just threw that in there.
All right. Well, and that back in the 1800s, butter upon bacon must have been a really great compliment.
I mean, it sounds pretty good to me. It sounds pretty good to me.
Frankly, Matthew, it's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said about me. So I'll take it.
Yeah. It's one of the nicest things I've ever said about anybody, I think.
Certainly about me.
Yeah, for sure. It's a long way from Butthead. That is true. That is true. Anyway, Butthead, before the show, we were talking about how I used to do the icebreaker question. And I just said, like, I'm not doing that anymore. And, maybe it'll come back. Maybe it'll come back in the spring, but for right now, it's on hold. And I'll just figure out something else to do. And then while we were having that conversation, I was just struck with inspiration.
Oh, well, that's usually how it works, right?
Yeah. So my oldest kid is going to college, and she's studying theater, and she's in this class where the class has just started. It's like one of these half-semester classes, and the class is called Movement for the Actor. Which, on the one hand, sounds really like...
Sounds like a one-unit class to me.
Yeah, exactly. And but on the other hand, you're like, I guess they do have to learn how to move, because they're like out on a stage. And yeah, but anyway, she had to do an interpretive dance. This was day one. She had to do an interpretive dance where she would be communicating through her movement a secret that she's ready to reveal today. So that's what I thought we could do.
Oh.
Reveal an uncomfortable secret. Ready, go. You first.
As long as I don't have to do interpretive dance while doing it, that's...
Well, if this was a video, yes. In fact, I would require it. But unfortunately, this is a podcast.
Okay, all right.
Ooh, but maybe we could do that. Actually, that's better. Yes, interpretive dance. Go.
Go. Okay, here I am. I'm just thinking of your poor daughter, because I just know how painful that must have been for her.
Well, at first I thought, oh my gosh, that's so weird. And but then I realized, they're training people, like some of these people, Matthew, I've been at these shows, and sometimes it happens when you least expect it. Like you're going to see Shakespeare and all of a sudden there's this dude on stage and he is like completely naked. And he's reciting some monologue and you're just like, how can he do that? I feel so uncomfortable. I can't even check if the guy's going through a shrinkage moment. You know what I mean? And he's out there, right? So so like these guys, these people, they got to learn how to do uncomfortable things.
Okay.
And so, so that's what the class is all about. But I see that you sidestepped telling your uncomfortable truth.
I did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine. Let's see here. I've had this growth, and I'm pretty sure it's not bad, but I'm not 100% sure it's not bad. And I've just kind of been putting it off.
Okay, you should probably get that checked out.
Yeah, I probably should.
All right, uncomfortable moment done.
Yeah, all right. Good job. 50% success. Hey, just like the Giants. Anyway, today is Monday, October 21st, as we record this podcast. It's still the off season, and
Giants are still not playing.
That's right. Giants are still not in it, and the playoffs are continuing, so we can't even get to the point where people start opting out of contracts or opting in, you know.
We got the World Series, though. At least we're there. We're to that one.
That's true. We have reached the World Series. Although it is interesting, Matthew. The playoffs. What do they call that? The National League Championship Series. I heard that finished yesterday, which means, and now the next game is going to be played somewhere, and in that game's going to happen on Friday. So that means there's no baseball for 4 days. And it occurred to me, Matthew, that's the longest stretch we've gone without a baseball game since spring training started for the 2024 season. Because the All-Star break was 4 days long, but the All-Star game was in the middle of it.
Right.
That's a long break.
It is.
That's a long break.
But some would argue that you would need that amount of time to get ready for a Dodger-Yankee World Series.
Yeah, you need that much time to just come to terms with that, with just the nastiness of that.
Yeah, I'm still not there. I'm going to need a few more days.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to talk about the most exciting thing that happened to me during these playoffs.
Okay.
I found my next favorite baseball player. I mean, my favorite baseball player, Matthew, who's not on the Giants. He's going to play in the World Series, first of all.
Yeah?
Which is a miracle, considering where he started the season.
Totally. I mean, no one's more happier than how their life has turned out than Jazz Chisholm.
That is true. And the one thing that I do like about this particular matchup is that I get to root for Jazz. and not feel at all bad about
Jazz.
it. Yeah. But, and that's what I'm doing, Matthew. I'm rooting for Jazz, but I'm getting ahead of myself. My next favorite player, I discovered him. His name is Big Christmas, and he hits the long ball. And
I'm guessing he hits from the right side.
That's right, Matthew. They found him. They found the one guy who can hit home runs from the right side of the plate.
Giants didn't find him. Cleveland did.
Yeah, no. And a lot of people have found those guys, Matthew. It's just the Giants that don't know how to find them.
Okay.
And you know what also I like about Jean-Kenzie Noel, a.k.a. Big Christmas?
No.
He's a young lad from the Dominican Republic who was a well-touted prospect, but had some holes in his game. They patched all those up. They determined he was ready, at least ready enough to play in the major leagues, and they sent him up to the major leagues. They knew that he was a right fielder, and he just plays right field, and he hits home runs, and it's like, it's just simple.
Well, first of all, he came from a town that nobody would ever go to find a baseball player. Okay,
but
I mean,
it's in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, who goes to San Pedro de Macorís to find a baseball player, Ben? I mean, that place is just
no players come from there.
No, none. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could swing a baseball bat and hit a major league potential baseball player in San Pedro de Macorís.
Exactly.
But yeah, the Big Christmas. I think I would like to call him Jonk.
Jonk. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, so the first thing that I thought was notable about him, I was watching that game where he hit the game-tying home run live. And the first thing that happened, because I hadn't really been paying close attention to the series, and so I hadn't seen him before. This was the first time I had ever seen Jean-Kenzie Noel come to the plate. And that was the first thing that came to my mind. I saw his name on the screen, and I was like, Jonk.
Well, it's like, Kronk and just, it's a great sports nickname. And nobody's calling him Christmas in the dugout. They're calling him Junk.
Well, I mean, they say his nickname is Big Christmas, but do
you think they call him BC?
I don't know. No, because I think his nickname is actually Navidad Grande, but so NG. Why do I feel like that's dangerous ground for me? I'm going to stay away from that one. My spidey senses are tingling. But yeah. Anyway, I'm excited about Big Christmas and his awesome name, Jean-Kenzy Noel, and that was the most exciting thing that I think happened during the whole playoffs. And I'm glad I've discovered him, and I can't wait for him to be a Giant.
Yeah, in like 10 years.
Yeah, I'm holding out hope. You know what's probably going to happen is he, Camilo, and Jazz are all going to be Yankees.
That's true.
And win like 3 rings together or something stupid. Okay, all right, but you know what? We're avoiding the thing. And look, we know we're avoiding the thing. Like,
I want to avoid the thing. Can we just keep avoiding the thing?
No, because we have to talk about it.
I know you're we got to fill air. We got to talk about the playoffs.
No. Look, Matthew, not all Giants fans are people who avoid uncomfortable things. Like, some of us confront our discomfort and deal with it, like responsible adults. And those types of listeners are the ones that I am trying to factor in when I say that we should talk about it. The ones who want to work through their feelings.
Okay. All right. I'll give it a shot. Who's playing? Right. Who's playing, by the way? Just kidding. I don't know.
It's the Yankees.
I did see that. I was in a hotel bar and I watched the last inning.
Yeah.
And then the celebration afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the Yankees versus the Dodgers.
Motherfucker.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Here's the question that I want to ask. When the World Series is the Yankees versus the Dodgers, and this is like the 700th time that they've faced each other. Okay. Like, which one of the teams is the villain? Now, I know what Giants fans think. I know what we think. We know who the villain is. The villain is the Dodgers, right?
Absolutely.
Like, they're the bad guys. But, like, if the Yankees were in the World Series all by themselves against, well, I was going to say every other team, but every other team except 2, the Yankees would definitely be the villains. And if the Dodgers were in the World Series against any other team except 2, they would be the villains. Now, of course, the one team that if they were in the World Series against couldn't happen for the Yankees, but the Astros are always going to be the villains whenever they make the World Series. But not to me, because the Astros screwed over both the Dodgers and the Yankees, and I like that. I like that very much. I'm very pro-Astro,
okay.
Because of the pain that they inflicted on those fan bases.
Absolutely.
Like, good. I love it. Good. Suffer. And I guess that's one positive takeaway, Matthew, is that one of those fan bases is going to suffer. Unfortunately, one of those fan bases is going to be very, very excited. But, so that's my question. In a vacuum, which of these 2 teams do you think is the villain to the rest of the baseball fandom? So, removing National League West fans.
Okay.
Because we all know, and removing Red Sox fans, because we all know who we all know who they're rooting for. The Red Sox are rooting for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And just like
and
we're
Mookie,
rooting,
right? They're going to root for Mookie.
They are going to root for Mookie, although they might be a little bitter about that. But that's the Red Sox ownership's fault. That's not Mookie's fault or the Dodgers' fault.
Right.
So yeah. Who do you think is the villain?
I still think it's the Dodgers.
It's definitely the Dodgers.
Well, especially because they buy their championships and they've got Ohtani and all these guys. Nobody likes the Dodgers.
What do you mean they buy their championships? When have they haven't won a championship in decades?
Okay, well they buy their regular season wins.
There you go. Yeah.
They're definitely the villain.
Yeah. I mean, there's something just like, you know what it is? It's like they're just plastic. They're plastic.
Yeah.
And they've got all those villains on there, like, Freddie Freeman.
Yeah. Everybody
Mookie
hates that
Betts.
guy. Yeah. Who likes Mookie Betts?
Mookie Betts. Gah. Can you think of more dislikable guys than Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts?
Actually, just about everybody else. They seem like really nice guys. How could you hate a guy that bowls? Like,
Yeah, that's true. How can you hate a guy who takes something so dorky so seriously? Yeah.
I saw video footage of a few years, I don't know, it was a number of years ago, but Freddie Freeman trick-or-treating in his neighborhood with his kids. And then he came across a kid that went as him.
Yeah.
And I just, like such a nice guy. Just,
Yeah. Too bad he's been ruined.
Yes. Well, and he's hurt. So.
Well, that's, actually, I'm not that sad about that. Because I'm a horrible person, unlike Freddie Freeman. But still, despite the fact that they have those guys, they're still the villains, right? Because it's the whole ethos. It's everything about them.
Yes.
It's just their Dodgerness. It's that Dodger stank. And, like the only reason this is going to be the most watched World Series, and yes, the ratings are going to be high, is because their fan bases are just so big, right? They're just in big populated areas. The disdain that the rest of the baseball world has for these two teams is probably the highest it is than it would be for any other two teams. That being said, I will be really happy for Jazz when he gets his ring. And I will have no trouble rooting for the Yankees because of Jazz. And let me put it this way, like, I think I constructed that mythical world where Camilo Doval became a Yankee after the Giants demoted him to AAA.
Mm-hmm.
I would root for that team for sure, with Doval and Jazz on it. And then you get Big Christmas and forget it. Like, I'm a Yankees fan.
I'd root for that team, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, today, what are we going to talk about? Since we're just stalling for time at this point, we are going to talk about the Giants roster. Now, over the last few weeks of the regular season, Matthew and I broke down the 4 different sections of the team: the bullpen, the starting pitch rotation, and the offense. And there was a 4th thing. What did we talk about? Was it 3 things? Oh, the outfield and the infield.
Yes.
Yeah. And we broke that down and we talked about what the preview would be, what the team would be. So we're going to double back on that and we're going to talk about and try to predict who the Giants' 13 offensive players will be on opening day. And more importantly, figure out where we're totally screwed. And then we're also going to discuss some of the coaching changes and the search for the GM. Because there's a list of candidates, and Matthew and I have not had our chance to vet them yet, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to vet them.
Okay. Wow, We're going to get a lot done today. We should get going.
We should. But you have to ask us our trivia question.
All right. Well, the trivia question today is, what player did the Giants trade for during the 2017 offseason? Bonus, name any one of the players that were traded for this player.
Mark Melancon.
Oh, okay. All right. Can you name a player?
Mark Melancon.
Okay. Traded for himself. I like it. What a first time in baseball history.
I don't think that's the first time. I think there was a player to be named later trade where the player to be named later was the guy. So
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
All right, something totally off topic here, but while you were rambling on, I was looking at Baseball Reference, and they have a section where you can see, like, by college, like who players in the major leagues played by college. You and I both attended Columbia University in New York. There were 22 players that went to Columbia that ended up playing in the major leagues. 4 Hall of Famers and 1 spy.
1 spy?
Mm-hmm. Moberg. He was a catcher.
Oh, that's right. He was a lion?
He was.
I did not know that.
There was also a guy that I went to school with that I didn't even know played in the major leagues. He was a year or two ahead of me, but Frank Seminara. He was drafted by the Yankees.
Oh, and then, Lou Gehrig, obviously.
Yeah, Lou Gehrig, Eddie Collins, John Ward, and Sandy Koufax, which I didn't know that Sandy Koufax was a lion.
Yeah, that's probably because you did know that, Matthew, but every time somebody told you, you just wiped it from your memory.
That's right, because
you didn't want to know that.
The epitome of a Dodger, yeah.
Just like you're going to have a hard time remembering this World Series.
Who's in it again?
Yeah. Los Yankees.
Y los Dodgers.
Y los Dodgers.
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 Right. Los Dodgers.
Los Dodgers and Los Yankees.
Isn't it time for the booze, boys?
Oh, I'm way ahead of you, Bob.
It's yeah, I'm almost done with mine, actually, but...
What are you drinking, Matthew?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, so I'm drinking a cocktail that was inspired by a local restaurant here. My girlfriend and I went to a restaurant called Willie's Wine Bar in Santa Rosa. Nice little, it's one of the Stark family restaurants, so usually those restaurants have very good cocktails. And this one had something called the Heart and Hearth. And so I went home and tried to recreate it. So what's in a Heart and Hearth? Well, in my version, it's got 1.5 ounces of bourbon, a 1/2 ounce of Allspice Dram, a 1/4 ounce of Cynar, 3/4 ounces of lemon juice, a 1/2 ounce of brown sugar syrup, and 1 egg white. And you're going to put all those ingredients into a cocktail shaker without ice, and you give it a good shake. Then you're going to add ice, and you're going to shake it until chilled. And you're going to strain that into a chilled coupe glass, and you're going to garnish it with a star anise. Star anise? Star anise? Those little star like spicy things. And you're going to float that right on top. And what you get is a lovely sour cocktail with some kind of wintry undertones and just a little bit of the Amaro bite at the end, which is really nice. So I got the foamy head with the from the egg and just a lovely cocktail. That's what I'm drinking, Bob. A Heart and Hearth.
That's a tasty cocktail. What are you drinking, Ben?
Well, thank you for asking, Bob. That is very kind of you. Today, Bob, I am drinking the same cocktail that I drank on Friday on the most recent episode of the Perfect Sip Happy Hour. And that is the Vertigo, which was a complete failure on my part, but still, it still tasted very good. It still tasted very good, and it was a complete failure on my part because I was supposed to try to layer it. And in retrospect, as Matthew and I discovered, there were some key reasons why what I was trying to do was not possible. And if you want to hear more about that, you can go listen to the previous episode of the Happy Hour, the Perfect Sip Happy Hour podcast, which we published on Friday. So, what is in a Vertigo? It has 2 ounces of Averna, 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, and 4 ounces of ginger beer. You take the lemon juice and the ginger beer and add them to a highball or Collins glass with ice. You stir them gently to combine, and then you add your ginger beer. Don't try to layer it because it's not going to work.
No.
Yeah. No.
I tried it.
I tried it and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. But it is very tasty. And I'm not an Amaro kind of guy. And this was good. This was good. I like this one very much. And that's what I'm drinking, Bob. The Vertigo.
That's a tasty cocktail.
It's tasty, but low ABV, Ben. You trying to you're just trying to be a little bit more alert on today's podcast? Is that
I mean, yeah, it's a little on the low ABV side. That's kind of the territory that I have been in over on the Perfect Sip because we run the gamut over there, Matthew. That show isn't about irresponsible drinking like this show is.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm confused because normally we're just getting drunk, and I'm like, that's a pretty light cocktail for this show, Ben.
It is a pretty light cocktail, and you know what, folks? I'm going to give you some inside baseball. That's not what I'm drinking right now. I mean, I don't know. Like, you probably figured that out for yourself long ago. But no, I'm drinking something else, and it's got lots of tequila in it.
Ben's pulling back the curtain, showing you a little behind the scenes.
Yeah, maybe I've had a little bit too much of my not a Vertigo already. We got serious work to do today, Matthew.
We do. Yeah. Do you have your crystal ball out?
Oh, I do. I do.
I got my magic 8-ball.
Sweet. Sweet. Why do we need the magic 8-ball and the crystal ball again?
Because we're making predictions.
Oh, that's right. Predictions. See, I just saw it more like we're fixing the roster.
Yeah. Well, we I guess we could try to do that, but
Right. Yeah.
I think more just predicting and failing miserably, by the way, right?
Yeah,
but,
well, that's the hope, right? That's the hope that we fail miserably. I hope that this roster is significantly different than what we're going to predict.
Well, okay, you say that, but as I was kind of mapping out my thoughts on this, I had like 4 guys that I thought were a sure thing on the 13 position players or offensive players.
Okay.
I think there could be some significant changeover if Buster and whoever he names GM decide they want to like start over.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I do think there's a lot of space to fill, Matthew. The problem is there enough tequila in that bottle to fill the empty hole in my heart? That's the real question. That's the real question.
Is there enough tequila, I'm asking the magic 8-ball, to fill Ben's empty heart?
It's not exactly how I said it, but that's actually probably more accurate. Yes.
Magic 8-ball says most likely.
All right. That's great. That's the best news I've had in a while.
We're getting off to a good start. Wow. I like this.
Yeah. All right, so how are we doing this? So we're gonna go through all of the 13 positions, and so what we mean is like starting position for the 8 positions, and then the other 5 spots, I guess.
Right. So there's the 8 starters out on the field, and then you've got backup catcher, you've got a couple of middle infield spots, and you got a couple outfielders. So yeah, adds all up to 13 because we know that's what they'll do. So maybe we just start with catcher. That seems like an easy one.
That does seem like an easy one. It does seem like an easy one. Okay. All
right. So Patrick Bailey.
Yeah, I think you can pretty much write that one in with pen.
Yeah.
Patrick Bailey.
The backup though. Do you think that they stick with Farhan's choice of Tom Murphy? Especially if he's healthy and ready to come back.
I think the chances of Tom Murphy being the backup catcher next year are slim to none.
You think so, huh?
Yeah, I do. Well,
you think Kurt Casale then? Like who would?
No, I don't think it's going to be Kurt Casale. I think they're going to
Sable. That's who it's going to be.
Okay, look, it's more likely to be Tom Murphy than it is to be Blake Sable. Okay. Okay.
Right,
no, I'm sorry, but Blake Sable, that was a Gabe Kapler Farhan Zaidi thing.
Yeah, it was.
And they spent all that time and all that effort to turn him into a Giant by keeping him on the major league roster for a full season. And I don't know that he'll ever be a factor again. And because unfortunately now he has 2 former major league catchers making all of the decisions. And one of them is one of the best to ever do it. So I don't think the things look good for Blake Sable. But I mean Tom Murphy is a good starting point, and I guess I sounded very adamant that I don't think he is, and I don't think he is, but I think that there is, because I think there's a good chance that they're going to want to go out and look for something better. And somebody who I think can maybe spell Bailey more.
Mm-hmm.
Because as good as Patrick Bailey is, we've
seen it. The second half Patrick Bailey is not the same.
Is not the same. not the same by a long shot, and starts to diminish his impact on the defensive side by how bad his offensive side is significantly, we will learn a lot about Patrick Bailey next season. Like, we'll know whether or not that's the real Patrick Bailey. Like, if he doesn't turn it around, I don't think he'll ever be able to turn it around, and he will become a defensive catcher, just period.
Yeah.
So I think that they will want to have somebody that can be a little bit more of a well-rounded catcher who can play more. That's what I think they'll go for, and I don't know that that's Tom Murphy. Now, Tom Murphy is a very good hitting backup catcher. So maybe that he is the right complement. But I don't know. I just think that this is a place that they'll look to improve. Although, honestly, I don't know how much better you can get, quite frankly. So maybe I'm just deluding myself. It's going to be Tom Murphy.
I feel like it is, but maybe not. Let's look and see. Maybe there's some free agent catchers out there that kind of jump out at you. Travis d'Arnaud. Oh. He's 36 years old.
How old's Tom? 32, 33?
I don't know.
I'll look it up. You keep looking for free agents.
Okay. All right. Not a whole lot of.
Yeah, it's gonna be Tom Murphy.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys the names that you see a lot. I mean, guys that are still around. Austin Hedges, I think he already played. Was a Giant at one point. Austin Barnes. We could corner the market on the Austins. Elias Diaz. I don't know.
You know who's a Rule 5 guy?
Nasty Sugasti.
Nasty Sugasti. Just get him up there.
I don't think that's going to happen either, dude.
Probably not.
All right. Well, it's going to be some dude. I don't know. We don't want to spend a lot of time who the figuring out.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
All right. First base. I just thought this would get easy. I thought this would be easy.
No.
Well, Lamont Wade Jr. by default.
Yeah, but no. Like, I don't think. Oh yeah. No, this is Bryce.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Opening day. Bryce.
Opening day. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's my prediction. Bryce Eldridge, opening day. Sticking with it.
Yeah. I would love to see that. That would be kind of fun. But
I think they would need a right-handed backup. So that means Lamont Wade Jr. I think is going somewhere else. I guess. It's because you would need a right-handed backup for Bryce.
Wilmer Flores still under contract.
He is. I highly doubt it, but that's a possibility. But yep, left-handed hitting 20-year-old Bryce Eldridge, opening day, first baseman. That's my prediction.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if it will be opening day, but I do
It'll
think
be opening day.
I do think we'll see Bryce early on. All right. But let's move on. Second base. I have penciled in here Tyler Fitzgerald. Only because I didn't want to piss you off by saying Brett Wisely.
I was going to say Brett Wisely. I was listening.
I mean, Tyler Fitzgerald had a great season. I mean, he did, and it seemed like they were trying him more and more over second base as the season went on. I thought he was fine as a shortstop, but yeah, the metrics say that he was average at best. But his offense, all that. Yeah, why not? Right? Second base.
I think it's got to be Tyler Fitzgerald. Although I will say this, Matthew, I don't think that we can factor in anything that we saw last season as being a sign of what they're going to do this season. Especially after Will Clark said that Farhan was making the lineups.
Yeah.
Right? And then I was listening to Giants talk, and Pavlovich was like, well, that's obviously not true, but Melvin did say he picked his battles. So maybe there were times that when he acquiesced to what Farhan wanted. So we don't really know what moves out there were Melvin versus Farhan. So I don't know that we can say anything with certainty around how, who was playing where and how that will project to next year. But I agree with you. Right now, it's Tyler Fitzgerald, and the free agent market is not that great, and there's nobody else in the organization. So I think Tyler Fitzgerald is very likely it.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Fitzgerald had a 136 OPS plus last year. They're going to find a spot for him. I mean, second base seems to be it.
Yeah, agreed.
Because shortstop though, who knows?
I thought you said it was going to be Ha-Sung Kim.
Well, that's my prediction. I am predicting Ha-Sung Kim. Let's ask the Magic 8 Ball.
Okay.
Will Ha-Sung Kim be the next Giants shortstop? Outlook good.
Okay, great. Now do this.
Okay.
Do me a favor.
Okay.
Have you heard of this thing called the Google?
Yes.
Okay, go onto the Google.
Okay.
And type in Ha-Sung Kim shoulder surgery. Just type that in.
I don't want to type that in.
I have some news to break to you, Matthew.
Well, season ending in the end of September. Okay. All right. A small tear. It's just a small tear.
It's just a small tear. He would be like now, like, look at that. He's shoulder surgery buddies with Jung Hoo Lee, right? And so they could be like shoulder bums together. Yeah, I'm putting all my chips on Willy Adames.
Magic 8 Ball says very doubtful.
For Willy Adames?
Yes.
That seems very appropriate for the Giants, but okay. So we're getting a shortstop with a bum shoulder. All right, Willy Adames. I mean, sorry, Ha-Sung Kim.
Well, yeah,
it's like an upgrade.
But let's just say it's one of those guys, right?
Okay,
it has to be, right? I mean, it can't be anybody within the organization.
No, it cannot be anybody within the organization. And if it's not one of those guys, then this roster has a major hole in it. This is a problem. Like the
it's
only
got to
other
be the answer, right? It's got to be
the only stopgap here that I think is passable, and I still don't think it's what you want, is Tyler Fitzgerald at shortstop and Gleyber Torres at second. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would much rather have Willy Adames right now. That's my choice.
Well, I'm looking at the free agent.
No, I mean it's Willy Adames, Ha-Sung Kim, and Gleyber Torres. Like those are your middle infielders who are. I mean,
Kike Hernandez.
First of all, no. Second of all, I mean, can we just get Nick Ahmed again?
Well, yeah, he's available too. Yeah, Kike Hernandez had a batting average of 229 and an on base of 281 and a slugging of 373. So maybe Paul Young would be the better option.
It's not good, is what the point is, Matthew. It's not good after.
It's not good. So
after Adames, Kim, and Gleyber Torres, like, right. and Gleyber Torres is a consolation prize for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see. But one of those, that's the prediction, though. One of those guys.
That is yes.
Okay. Third baseman. Now, this is the only one where you could just be like, it's Matt Chapman, right? I mean,
it's Matt Chapman. Yeah.
I mean, so we don't need to dig into that any further.
Nope.
But now we got the bench for the middle infield and corner infield. So you got your standbys, Casey Schmidt or Brett Wisely. Do you think it'll be one of those guys? Or both, if they could fill the both infield spots, right?
The first base and middle infield spot?
Well, Casey Schmidt could be third base.
First base?
First base.
And Brett Wisely? No, I don't think it's going to be both of these guys. I think it'll be one of these guys, and I'm going to put my money on Casey Schmidt.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think he has the higher ceiling. And I don't think his ceiling is any higher than middle infielder, bench guy.
Right.
Utility player.
And Brett Wisely was the name that I think Pavlovich threw out as one of Farhan's kind of favorites, right?
He did. He kept referring to him as a guy who he got for free. Which I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting how the tone of some of these writers changed significantly after Farhan was fired.
Well, it seems like their sources were much more willing to talk about it.
That's true. Yeah, their sources were much more willing to talk, and it certainly seems like certain guys were Farhan's favorites, and Brett Wisely was definitely one of them, which makes me feel better because maybe that's why I didn't like him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It struck me as like, those people that love to get their clothes at thrift stores, right? And they get a really good deal, like a designer outfit for like $5 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then somebody compliments on their outfit and they're like, thanks, I got it at a thrift store.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I only spent $5 on it, right? That just seems like that was Farhan.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was like, this is not the best player I could have gotten, but boy, I got such a great deal. And I think that honestly, like we're going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but one of the things that Posey said during his press conference and the interviews after that press conference was about putting the best talent on the field. And I wonder if that was a reference to this sort of thing, which was that Farhan was more interested and more excited about finding these gadget guys, And by gadget, I mean, it's like, he found a guy who was cheap or, nobody else liked him or, there was just something that was a bargain-like deal with this guy. And that's why Farhan liked him so much. And that's why he got pushed so much. And when you do that, well, you're not putting the best talent on the field that you could be. And so I wonder if that was a reference to that. So that is very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so if only one of them, then there is another spot for another backup infielder. So maybe is that an opportunity for another free agent signing? Because you've got guys like David VR, Mark Canha, Wilmer Flores, Donovan Walton. Just seems like there's those guys, those retreads that just seem like maybe their time is past.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a free agent filling. Like I think they're going to try to go get the best talent that they can, who will eventually maybe could hold down first base, along with somebody else who is definitely a temporary roster spot holder.
Yeah. Until
Bryce Eldridge does show up. And they won't need that temporary guy because Bryce Eldridge is going to be on the roster on opening day.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But they'll need
one name that I do want to make sure that it's not on the infield list, though, is Marco Luciano, right? We've seen the last of him playing the infield, do you think?
I think we have. Yes. I think we have.
I think that experiment has played out.
Yes, I think they have to make that decision and immediately, and I think they will make it definitively that Marco Luciano's path to the major leagues is not on the infield. That if he's gonna make it, it's gonna be in the outfield, and that will start immediately. And I think there will be a lot of concerted effort in that direction.
Okay, well, let's move to the outfield then, right? So you've got. Left field, you think Elliot Ramos is the opening day left fielder for the Giants?
I do, but I kind of hope that he isn't. I hope that he'll start somewhere else.
Oh.
Like, not on opening day. Maybe he doesn't play on opening day because, I don't know, because Bob Melvin has a sense of humor or whatever. So that the curse of Barry in left field can continue.
Can continue, okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's the left fielder.
Okay. Right field. Let's switch over to right field. Mike Yastrzemski, or dare I say, Juan Soto.
I think you should say Juan Soto.
I'm gonna say Juan Soto, opening day right fielder.
Yeah, I think all of you all are just deluding yourself, and I don't know why you all do this to yourself every single year.
Ben, do you ever buy a lottery ticket?
Oh yeah, I do.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then that the best part about buying a lottery ticket, right, is that moment between when you buy it and when the number is called, right? Because you're thinking of all the possibilities, all the wonderful things that could happen with this lottery ticket if it was the winner, right?
Right.
It's just, like you'd give to charity, you'd buy your neighbor's house just to put them out on the street. You do these things with the money, right? And so that's me and Juan Soto. That's me and every big ticket free agent. I like to dream.
You like to dream. Okay. No, I like filling out the little bubbles and making special shapes with them. That's
But the dreaming part, and I'll tell you that the dreaming part is based in reality, because I did watch a few of the postseason games over the last week, and I noticed a pattern.
Oh, he's good. That he's good.
Not just him, but all the teams had really good players.
Yeah.
On their team.
Wow, look at that. Who would have thought?
I know. It's crazy. But I wasn't like, oh, that guy shouldn't be on there. Or I wonder if there's a guy in AAA that could take his spot. No, they were all like, okay, these are their guys. And it just made me think that the Giants aren't that.
Yeah,
so, we just need better baseball players.
I think that's right. I mean, it is really interesting what you're saying, because like out of all of people talking about analytics and how pitching is taking over the game and blah, blah, blah. Look, the same thing that has always worked in terms of just paying for the best players when they are still good is what got these two teams to the World Series. And it's because of their lineups, right? Like, their great hitting lineups has what propelled these teams to the playoff, to the World Series. And so as much as I hate the fact that it's the Yankees versus the Dodgers, and as much as I hate the fact that it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of people that they paid for, it is also somewhat reassuring to say that, there are a lot of other owners out there right now who are very unhappy because they're seeing that, their fan bases are all going to be their fan bases are all going to see the reason that their team isn't winning is because their owners can't get the best players. And so that is a good point. So you're right.
I'm thinking about these, looking at guys even like Giancarlo Stanton, who was the MVP, right, of the American League Championship Series. You could argue that his better years are behind him, and the Yankees paid him a lot of money over the last. I'm looking at his contract. He's still under contract through 2027. He's got a club option for 2028. This year, he was paid $32 million, right? He's been paid 32 for the last 3 years. But then next 2 years, he's a bargain, 19 million and then 15 million. I don't think the Yankees, now that they're in the World Series, are even worried about how much money they spent on Giancarlo Stanton over the last 8 years.
No, and I don't know that I'm looking at his OPS plus for his entire Yankee career, and the disappointing Stanton era, right? Which, by the way, the Giants were one of the teams pursuing Stanton. The disappointing numbers for Stanton are this on OPS plus: 30% above average, 38% above average, 45% above average, 36% above average. And then the bad years are 12% above average. And then, yes, 13% below average last year, but then a rebound for 15% above average this year. And as you say, not that expensive relative to what contracts are being given out now. And, I don't know that you look at the Stanton deals and say that those were bad. Like the numbers are good. It's like, I don't know what people expected, but, that's a pretty good return on that investment. And here they are in the World Series with him and because of him. All of that, I am down for signing Soto, man. I just don't think Soto's going to sign with the Giants. For the same reason that Judge didn't sign with the Giants. And the same reason that Ohtani didn't sign with the Giants.
Because they're not a good enough team.
That's right. Because we're not the Yankees or the Dodgers, and that doesn't mean that the Giants can't be. It's just that they aren't.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think we'll get Soto. So it's going to be Mike.
Okay. All right. Mike, Yaz in right field is probably the most likely scenario. Let's go to center field. Another no-brainer, right? Where Jung-Hoo Lee is going to be the center fielder next year.
Agreed. And unfortunately, it's going to be just like last year, which is like, ooh, we're excited to finally see him.
All right, and then we got our two outfield bench players. My number one for sure one is Luis Matos. I'm going with Luis Matos.
I have.
And then, well, here's our options. There's four guys that could possibly be in the play in the hunt. Luis Matos, Grant McCray, Wade Meckler, and Marco Luciano. Two of those guys could be on the opening day roster, or do the Giants go out and get somebody else?
Well, I think they will. I'm not excited about that list of names, Matthew.
No, it doesn't exactly scream, greatness, right?
No, and as much as I mean, Grant McCray did some nice stuff, but the guy strikes out way too much. Like, that is not going to play for a whole season. It's just not. Luis Matos, there's more growth to do there. Wade Meckler is coming back from a lost season. Marco Luciano, that guy's going back to. He's going back to start, man. And so I'm not really excited about any of those guys. So I think the outfield is probably where the Giants are going to be most busy on free agency. But gosh, we've just gone through the whole lineup, man, and I'm there's a lot of work.
There is a lot of work, and there's a lot of names that we're familiar with that you're like, oh, these are the guys. But the interesting part is that we don't know, because Buster could be like, nah, those aren't the guys. And, we're going to see, I think, this offseason how much change Buster's willing to do in 1 year, in one offseason. I'm looking at outfielder free agents. You got Teoscar Hernandez is a free agent this year. I wouldn't mind having him as one of our outfielders.
And he hits from the right side of the plate.
He does.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
6 years, Farhan. What the? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You feel better now?
No, not really, but to get that out.
Yeah. So all these guys that we've met, I think everyone outside of Jung-Hoo Lee could or could not be on our opening day roster. I don't think there's one guy on there that's like, other than Jung-Hoo Lee, where you're like, oh yeah, he's definitely there. And we could see an entirely different left field and right field next year, that aren't even on our team now, or in the
Really? You think
franchise.
Ramos is not a sure thing?
He kind of faded down the stretch, and
He didn't fade that much.
I don't know.
I think he got a good vote of confidence from Buster as well. I think he will get a legitimate shot.
I hope so. But I feel like there's at least 2 or 3 spots there that the Giants could play around.
There's definitely 3 spots that are just complete question marks. I mean, I think they will keep Yastrzemski, but the question is Yaz your starting everyday right fielder? Or is he part of a mix of, ideally I'd like to see Jazz be a bench player. And not because I don't like Yaz, but that just means that you have better players ahead of him.
Right.
So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, this is 3 spots in the outfield, first base, shortstop. It's just, there's 5 glaring holes here. It's not good.
Not good.
Yeah.
Coaching change, though? Should we talk about that?
Oh, yeah. Let's touch on the coaching change really quick.
So we did predict that there would be some changes in the coaching staff. I think you and I both thought it was going to be on the hitting side.
Yep.
But right off the bat, Brian Price steps down. We have learned that He was reticent to take the job to begin with. He only took it because Bob Melvin begged him, and it was his, dream job to be, the hometown, pitching coach and all that. But after 1 year, stepping down, and then the Giants immediately tapped JP Martinez, who has been an assistant pitching coach for the last 4 years, as the head pitching coach. So kind of an interesting change there, right? I mean, nothing earth-shattering, but interesting that Brian Price sat down.
No, I don't think this was earth-shattering, and it very much sounds like Brian Price made this decision. Like, I don't think this was anybody else's decision, and so not surprising. I also think it's interesting that it is Martinez because there were a number of times, especially in the latter half of the season, where both Brian Price and Martinez came out to the mound.
Oh.
And I think sometimes that was with some of the Spanish-speaking pitchers, like particularly Camilo. But I did notice that there were times where both Price and Martinez came out to make the visit, which was very unusual and but interesting, right? So I think Martinez, I'm not worried about this. Like this doesn't have me worried at all. He's been with the organization for 4 years. He knows the Giants players probably better than Price did. Yeah. I am going to miss Brian Price, though, because we didn't talk about it much during the season, but there were times where that man had a look on his face that completely and 100% represented how I felt as he was just staring out onto the field. And it was just kind of like a WTF look. And I think, if they win the World Series, Matthew, is he retiring? I don't know. Probably. But, I think it was, he did it. He feels good that he did it. And I don't think he regrets leaving.
Well, I mean, JP Martinez has been the constant over the last 4 years. They've had Brian Bannister left, and they've had some turnover, but Martinez has been there. During that time, the Giants have the 4th lowest ERA in the majors over the last 4 years. So there's no reason to be worried about JP Martinez taking over as pitching coach. But I don't think this is the last move we'll see. And it'll be interesting to see when all those changes start shaking out. I would imagine soon.
Agreed. First domino to fall is the GM, though.
That's right. Well, yeah, especially because they have the GM meetings in early November. So
yeah, this decision's got to be made soon.
All right, I think it's time to answer today's trivia question, Ben.
All right, let's do it.
Question was, what player did the Giants trade for during the 2017 offseason? And bonus, name any one of the players traded for this player. You said Mark Melancon.
That's right.
Traded for Mark Melancon.
Yes.
The answer was Evan Longoria. Was traded to the Giants from the Tampa Bay Rays on December 20th, 2017 for Steven Woods, Christian Arroyo, Matt Crook, and Denard Span, none of whom are in the majors at this time. So just goes to show that you can trade like some guys and and not miss them at all. So Christian Arroyo was a highly touted prospect, and he had an okay few years with the Red Sox after his stint with the Rays, and but never was he was probably the only one out of those that had any future. Denard Span, I think, was out within 2 years of the trade out of baseball. So just a reminder that when we talk about these trade things, that sometimes it's better to go all in, because it's not like you're losing potentially anyone. I mean, it's not like you're losing a Brian Reynolds or anything.
Or a Joe Nathan.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It can backfire. It can. But in this case, it did not.
By the way, Harry Cheedy, Dickie Knowles, and John McDonald were all traded for themselves.
Oh, all right. 3 guys.
There you go.
Answer to the trivia questions. All right. Well, folks, I think that's going to do it. Don't forget to follow us on the socials at Giant Cocktails on the platform formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Threads. And yeah, Mastodon, I haven't gotten rid of that one yet. But then don't forget, you can also follow us on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, and hit that little bell to know when we publish. Also, you can leave us comments on Spotify. If you want to, chat with Ben, that's the only one that he checks. So if you really want to go to Ben, you got to go to Spotify there.
That's not true. I check YouTube.
Oh, and YouTube too. That's right.
Which is how I know that somebody commented on one of our videos a month ago.
Okay, so we have one comment. You could be the second, folks.
No, there's three. We have 3 comments total, but the last one was a month ago, and I only discovered it yesterday. My apologies. I hearted it. So thank you for that comment on YouTube.
All right, Ben's got a little work to do on that. But and then don't forget to rate us. A 5-star review on Apple Podcast or Spotify would be greatly appreciated. And folks, last but not least, don't forget to run on over and listen to our cocktail-only podcast, The Perfect Sip, where Ben every Tuesday teaches you a new skill or some, I don't know, we call them tutorials. We're not calling them tutorials. They're educational video or podcast, instructional episodes, something.
I'm an educator, but also these are not optional. You have to do what I say.
All right. That's just so warm and fuzzy.
That's the vibe. That's the vibe I'm going for.
And then, and on Friday, you could just check in on Ben and I, where we chat about some of the things that Ben talked about on the previous episode, but also just chat about our cocktails. So if you missed the old happy hour where we did all the cocktail talk, that's your chance to go back and listen to that. And there were lots of you who haven't made that switch over to listen to us on Friday. Although this week more people listen to the Friday episode than the Tuesday episode. So I'm calling that a win for me.
Thanks.
All right, Ben. Well, it's been good chatting with you on this Monday. We didn't really talk about it, but sorry we're a day late. We had some family things. I had to go visit my son in college this weekend, and then Ben and I met up for drinks and dinner with our significant others. So we decided to push it back a day. So our Tuesday episode is unusual, but here nonetheless. Ben, we will be back at this next Monday. It's been good chatting with you. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, Matthew. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Giant Cocktails Podcast. Until next time, bottoms up.
It's got to be bad to be treated for yourself, right?
I don't think so.
It's not a good thing.
I mean, I remember there was one guy that was traded for a bucket of balls and a 6-pack of beer or something. I don't know. There was some weird ones where there was for equipment. I don't know. Is that worse? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that's worse. I think it's worse to be for a bucket of balls. I would at least like to be traded for a Pepsi machine or something, full of Pepsis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Full of Pepsis.
Yeah.